Hi everyone, welcome back to If My Heart Had Wings, episode 45, where it looks like we opened up a new chapter in the story. So Aoi, Kotori, and Ageha are looking for a place to put the glider, and they can't keep it in the big bedroom in the Flying Fish Manor because that room is being reserved for the twins, Asa and Yoru, and Aoi can't let Asa and Yoru sleep in his room indefinitely. So while they're putting the glider in the garden and covering it with a tarp, it looks like Asa has a better place to put the glider, which is this place. So this is a hangar or a dock that their grandfather used for airplanes, and even though it's abandoned, well, to some extent, he gives this place to the twins to enjoy, and Asa's happy, she likes the glider, she's interested, and she's willing to let them use this place to put the glider because it's safer and it's not prone to weather damage like it would if it is with the garden, the flowers, the lawn. And I'm not really sure if Yoru's okay with it because she's still skeptical and she still thinks that, well, she hates the place, she wants a better dormitory, and she still thinks that Aoi, Kotori, and Ageha, they pursue their own dreams through criminal means. So they stole the glider from the school. So let's see if Kotori is going to open up and, okay, well, even though it is quite bad that we're breaking our circle, our little group, it's better to have someone else come in. So right now, Asa is going to let them use this place only if they let her in as a new member. Okay, so Yoru is still there like, Mrr. Hey, so Asa, yes? So, question, why do you want to join us? So why? Is it because,
グライダーに興味があるから？それとも私たちが楽しそうだったから？
So what's your reason? Do you like gliders or is it something else?
それは。
So Asa began to stutter as I asked her a slightly tricky question. It's like, you want genuine members, not people that are here for other things. So basically, it's kind of like what happened with Saya's astronomy club at her school from A Sky Full of Stars. So she has other girls that are in the club, but even though it's an astronomy club, they draw comic strips. And that's something that Ageha and Kotori don't want in this club. So we need to recruit new members anyways, and we would be able to use these amazing facilities, so it should be okay for us to accept unconditionally. But I put those thoughts to the back of my mind. So these thoughts that were hard to make sense of felt like they were stuck in my chest.
私、この場所が好きで、夜ちゃんと二人で時々遊びに来てたんです。
Okay, so looks like Asa does like this place.
ここでおじいちゃんが飛行機を作ってたって言ってたから。
So that's what Yoru said before. Okay? So Asa is just interested in things that fly through the sky.
あの日も二人でここに来てました。そしたら湖の向こうから白い飛行機が飛んできて。
Oh, okay. It's like, well, so we want to build an airplane of our own someday, and that's why Grandpa gave us this place. But then we saw someone, so we saw that someone had already built a glider, and it was in the sky. So a white aircraft.
その時まで私はグライダーっていう名前も知らなかったんです。それ、もしかして私たち？
So wait a minute. So was the white aircraft us? So it was probably us that was flying that thing.
いつのフライトだろう?
So I wonder which flight was that. I'm sure it was more than one. So after thinking it over a little, we suddenly realized. So could it be? So was that when we did the first test flight? So after completing the main wings, we went on our first test flight, and that was also the day that I piloted the glider for the first time. Oh, okay, so they remember that event pretty well. So on that day, I flew across the lake to Windmill Hill. And then when we turned around and headed back to the other side of the lake, I noticed that someone was looking up at us. And I'm sure it was these girls. So that's it. So it was these two petite girls. There you go. So just like Kotori, they were girls who like gliders. So, and I always mind like, well, I do see that these twins, they're kind of following the footsteps that Kotori took last year. Or at the very beginning of the story when Kotori went to Windmill Hill by herself. So I remember that was the impression that I had. So Asa and Yoru were the ones here at the time.
はい、多分。
Okay. So at least that provides some evidence that these girls, they are genuinely interested in the glider and not joining because of other reasons. And that could make it more convincing for Akari versus having Kanako join, whereas Kanako has a history of switching clubs to her own liking. So what's all this? I hadn't even thought about it until now.
それからまたグライダーが見たくてここで待つようになりました。
But then the glider disappeared for some time and I have never seen it since. Okay.
ほとんど毎日来てたけど。
And I come here all the time. I was hoping to see it fly again.
ウインチが壊れてしばらく飛べなかったのよね。
Well, we did fix the winch and that was probably why we stopped flying. Well, it appears that during that time, Asa was waiting for us.
それからしばらくして、あれは夏休みの終わりくらいだったと思います。家で嫌なことがあって、私ここに一晩中隠れてたんです。
So I wonder what happened back at home. Okay, does Yoru understand why? Or like, did she contribute to the problem?
気がつくと窓から光が差してて、外に出てみたら明け方の空にすごく綺麗な雲が浮かんでました。
So we instinctively realized with surprise and looked at each other. So could it be?
紫とピンクの空に筆で描いたみたいな一筋の雲が浮かんでて、ヨルちゃんと一緒に見てました。
Oh, okay, so it's probably the morning glory clouds.
そしたらそこへ。
So without knowing, I was shaking. So Ageha held my arm to stop it shaking. Kotori's face went red and had at some point become engrossed in Asa's story.
グライダーが飛んでました。
So during that interesting weather, with all the colors, like the purple and the sunrise colors, they saw a glider.
見てたんだ、あの時。あの時はまだそれがグライダーってことすらよく分かってなかったですけどね。
Okay?
ヨルちゃんに教えてもらって、それで分かって。
And still, Yoru's still kind of skeptical, like, well...
でもずっと見てました。不思議な雲が消えるまでずっと。
So Asa put her hand on her left arm and quickly closed her eyes. It was as if she was relieving the scene of that, disappearing like it was painted on the inside of her eyelids.
それが理由なの？
So is that the reason?
はい。私、自分に何ができるとか、何がしたいのかとか、まだよく分かってないけど。
So now I can see that Asa has the same reason of why she wants to join the Soaring Club, the same as Kotori 1 year ago.
でも、いても立ってもいられないんです。あの日見た光景が忘れられないんです。
So I noticed that Asa's knees were shaking. It's like she's scared of something. Well, I think she's more scared of, well, even though I'm trying my hard to claim or reason why I want to join this club, I'm genuinely interested. She's afraid that Aoi, Kotori, and Ageha are still going to reject her anyways. So, however, even though she was shaking, she didn't give up. She summoned her courage as if there was something that was like she desperately wanted to bring up.
Kotori?
So come on, Kotori, what do you say? You're the club leader or the circle leader. So Ageha gave Kotori a gentle tap on her shoulder. So come on, you make the call. So Kotori nodded, and there was no need to check. We all felt the same way. Okay, so you're fit. I think you will be a good member. So welcome to the Soaring Club, or the soon-to-be Soaring Club. So as of today, you are one of us. So welcome. So as she was suddenly welcomed into the club, tears welled up in her eyes. And I wonder if they're going to accept Yoru too, or, well... So her cheeks had already become red as apple. So, I'll say red delicious red. Well, I'm sure the same is true for everyone else, so... Ageha, Amane... Ageha, Kotori, and Aoi. And Amane was the one who knew about gliders. But then again, I'm pretty sure when she first joined the club many years ago, Amane also didn't know about gliders. Well, it's true that to build and fly a glider, you need expert knowledge and techniques. But then again, it's not all that bad. And we're not complete beginners. We were complete beginners a year ago. There you go. Really? It's hard to tell. Isn't that right, Kotori?
行貸してもらえるだけでもお釣りが来るくらい助かっちゃうし。
So I'm very grateful that you're going to let us use this place because it's going to help us solve a lot of problems. And I'm sure the best one is they can avoid being spotted or caught by the school.
それに共犯にしちゃえば秘密をばらされる心配もないしね。
There you go. So it felt like Kotori said something both eloquent yet crooked, but everyone just completely ignored it. So the most important thing is your feeling of wanting to fly through the sky.
空を飛びたい気持ち。
So when we get the glider fixed, maybe you'll get your chance to fly through the sky. You'll get your turn. So if that's how you feel, you'll be fine, right?
うんうん。その通り。というわけだから今日からよろしくね、朝。
So do your best. So Asa seemed vacant as she wiped away her tears that had accumulated in the corner of her eyes.
はい。よろしくお願いします、先輩。
Okay, I'll do it. So as Asa cheerfully lowered her head in a bow, Yoru slowly looked away. So what about her?
私は入らないから。
Well, I'm sure that's obvious. Like, well, I'm going to pass on this. So looking at her twin sister, sulkily making her intentions clear, Asa had a troubled expression, but a smile then returned to her face. So we took another look at the place that we were now able to use. So our heads soon started to fill with all the thoughts of what we would be able to do here.
これでやっと始められるわね。
Okay, so number one, we can start moving the glider from the garden to here.
飛ぶための準備をね。
So time which felt like it was going nowhere began to feel like it was going somewhere and accelerating. So I like how the reasons that Yori gave for actually Asa gave for why she wants to join the club. It's the same as Kotori 1 year ago. Even though she doesn't know much about gliders, the same applies to Aoi, Ageha, and Kotori. And it was Amane that had the expertise. But anyways, we're back in the dormitory, and let's see how it goes.
ここが私たちの部屋ですか？
So now with the glider out of the way, this is what the room looks like, and it looks much better than what people were expecting, or like what they were expecting. So Asa's eyes sparkled as she looked at the room that had been tidied up. So nice carpeting, the windows are pretty nice, the furniture is pretty good and classy, and the light fixtures are pretty good as well. The diamonds.
夜ちゃん、夜ちゃん、私たちの部屋だよ。先輩。
And for some reason, Yoru has to find something to complain about, or she's still picky. So I wonder what kind of place could Yoru expect if she was to have the grandfather find a better place? Because I'm pretty sure even if the student dormitory is much cleaner, much newer, I'm sure it is cramped as well, because they probably made it really small to house as many students as they can. So Yoru's eyes seem to glaze over.
デカブツがどいても狭い部屋は狭いわね。
Well, I don't like it here because it's still cramped.
広すぎるよりは狭い方が落ち着くよ。ほら、見て見て夜ちゃん、隅っこ。
Well, I'm sure we can make it work out somehow. So as she said that, Asa showed her the pilot seat in the corner of the room. Oh, okay. However, even though there should be plenty of room for two people in here, when we consider that they are the granddaughters of the chairman of the board of the Keifu Academy, it seems they might think it's a bit cramped. But like I said, Where else can they find a spacious room like this? So at the moment, I felt the difference in social status. Well, I'm sorry it took so long and that it's so cramped.
いいんです。葵さんの部屋も私好きでした。パパの部屋みたいな匂いがするとか言ってたもんね。
Papa, wait a minute.
言っちゃダメだよ、ヨルちゃん。
So it was dirty, it was disgusting, it had an awful smell, and that's typical of a boy's room, especially for a guy who's worked so much. Hey, that applies to Ioe because he was a cyclist before he went here. The bicycle. So there's only 2 years difference between us. And to someone like me who other people the same age say is quite mature, it's kind of depressing to hear that. Well, I kind of feel that Yoru's being a little bit too unrealistic. She's expecting a princess-like room anywhere she goes, compared to Asa. Well, I think if I want to have daughters who are cute like Asa and Yoru, wait, before that there will be a need to have a mama. Wait a minute, I don't understand that. So you can use this room as you please. The rules are as I told you before.
Hi.
Fine then, I guess I'll do. Well then, so, what is it?
お邪魔します。おー、やっと片付いたんだね。
Okay, so Kanako is quite amazed at this all ready to go room.
お隣に住んでるものです。これ、おすそ分け。
Okay. So Asa gives a serious bow to Kanako as she comes in, carrying chocolate snacks.
どうぞよろしくお願いします、かなこさん。はいよ、こちらこそよろしくね。
So after receiving the snacks from Kanako, the sisters happily share them between themselves and start eating. So I go over to Kanako and have a quiet word with her. So what's the problem? So you seem to pay a lot of attention to these two. Well, I'm sure Kanako finds something special about them, especially for Asa, and well, I guess so. So which is it?
困ったことがあったら言ってね。お隣同士助け合っていきましょう。
Well, anyways, if you need anything else, just come and visit me. I'm next door, okay?
はい、ありがとうございます。はいよ。
So I'm relieved that Kanako is taking care of the two. So Asa and Yoru? So thanks for today for letting us use the place.
いえ、私こそありがとうございました。精一杯頑張りますので。私は貸すとは言ってないので。
So while Asa's happy, is like, well, thank you very much. Well, you're welcome. But for yours, like, well, I didn't agree to it, so why thank me? So Yoru turns her head back to me and then sits straight back down and started stuffing herself with chocolate. So she doesn't like me, huh? Well, let's do our best then from tomorrow, okay?
Hi.
So I wonder what Yoru likes, because so far everything that's happening, Yoru is opposing it. So 1, the flying fish manor is too small, too old for her. And 2, she has no interest in the glider. And 3, she's opposed to using their place to store the glider. But anyways, it's next day in school, and I wonder what Kanako and Akari are talking about. Akari.
こんにちは、かなこさん。やけにご機嫌ね。
So you're happy?
ちょっとね、うちの寮に新しい子が来たんだけどさ。
Okay.
例の水瀬葵が寮母を務めているという不純な寮に。
Okay, so the place where Ayo Minase is working, right?
そうそう、そのいかがわしい寮に。すんごい可愛い子なんだけどさ、うまく馴染めないみたいで心配してたんだよ。
But you know, I'm happy that I made friends with her. I'm sure it's just Asa, and not Asa and Yoru.
でも、やっと打ち解けてきたみたいで。あなたって案外面倒見がいいのね。
Well, I'm sure Yoru needs more to open up, because he hasn't really mentioned what she likes. And I hope it's not the robotics club with Tobioka-sensei.
そっちはどうなの？生徒会気合い入れてやってるみたいだけど。
But then again, you're happy too because you're getting all fired up with that student council thing.
問題は多いけど、一つずつ解消していってるわ。
Well, I'm busy.
一番厄介なのは。
So the biggest problem is, I'm sure we know what it is.
ソアリング部？
The Soaring Club?
そうよ。
That's correct.
まったく、望月先輩が引退なさったんだから、他のこと始めればいいもの。
So even Akari's tired of dealing with this. Like, well, I was hoping that they would move on and find something else to do. And our school has many things that they can do instead of this Soaring Club that has lots of problems.
そんなこと言って、結構応援してるくせに。
But then again, you're helping them in some way, right? So giving them support?
してません。
So what do you mean I'm not?
私はいつだって公正なだけです。
Really?
先生はちっとも公正じゃないのにね。
But then again, the teachers don't agree with this, and I'm sure they're pressuring you to not support this club.
でさ、その新しい子もスワリング部に、噂をすれば。
And now I hear that we have a new member, or there's a new member for the Soaring Club.
アサちゃん。あ、かなこさん、こんにちは。
Okay, so we see Asa and Yoru.
どうも。
Hello.
何してんの？
So what's up?
葵先輩たちを探してるんです。部活のことでお話があって。
Well, I'm sure they're busy, and I'm sure the school's watching them closely if they have any kind of discussion about club activities.
葵先輩？部活？そっかそっか。頑張りなよ。
Well, good luck anyways.
はい、それじゃあ。
Well, I guess.
かなこさんって綺麗だよね。そう？水準以上だとは思うけど。
So I wonder if Yoru's trying to disagree with Asa again, or she agrees with her to some extent. Like, well, I agree, she's at least above average.
かわいいでしょ。ねえ、かなこさん。あの二人ってまさか。
So wait a minute. From your conversation with them, I feel that they are...
そう。今年入った風戸姉妹。理事長の孫だっけ？やっぱり、水瀬葵ね。飛岡先生と対立しているからって、理事長を味方につける気ね。
Well, I knew it. That Aoi Miyase is able to find some way to work around the system, or to find something that's going to change everything. So by bringing in these girls who are the chairman's daughter, and in a sense it's going to put up a stronger fight or it's going to be harder for that teacher, Tobioka-sensei, to oppose. So if the chairman says yes, then he has no... or he can't do anything but to accept it. But I kind of wonder how the chairman feels about this Soaring Club and the glider. And we haven't really heard anything about it. But then again, if he does agree to it, it's going to be a pretty big battle. So I think it's like, well, Akari, good luck, because you want to be fair, so you want everyone to be happy, you want everyone to have their place, so try to make it happen. Or good luck making it happen. Oh, so I see that you're blushing when you talk about Aoi. I do think that there's something special that you're thinking about to him. Oh, come on. That's not true. No, because you're lying, you're covering up. Really? Okay, so Asa visits Aoi in class. So at lunchtime, as I was eating my lunch, Asa came into class. And Kotori and Ageha were with the girls, while I was eating with some of the boys I get along with. And the boys suddenly got excited when they saw Asa here. Uh-oh, some jealousy, like, so I wonder how or why she's associated with you. What happened? Well, of course. So you can see that, well, if she wasn't, she wouldn't start calling my name all of a sudden. Okay. So for the time being, I push past all those annoying guys. Well, then again, why do you get along with them? Then go over to Asa, who's waiting at the door. Oh, so Asa, what's up? So she blushes when she realizes that the other students are looking at her. Oh, so the older students. So what is it then? Says Kotori. So Kotori calls out from her seat. So she politely bows her head to them. Come on, just come on in. Don't be at the door. It's making it uncomfortable for all of us. So Ageha beckons her over, and Asa tearfully steps into the classroom. So she's nervous about going into the classroom of older students. And for some reason, Yoru shows up. So Yoru appeared from behind the door and followed Asa just like a shadow. And speaking of which, was Yoru there before? Well, whatever they do, wherever they go, they're always together, or wherever they go. And now it's the group of girls' turn to make a fuss. So, I see that Ageha and Kotori are with these girls, and these are really special girls. Oh, the twins are cute. I'm sure anyone would like to show off, like, yep. So these girls are our juniors. So Kotori seems to be boasting almost as if to say, well, I'm the one who raised them. There you go. And even though she only met them recently. So once again, Asa bows politely and introduces herself. And she's quite shy, but she does these kinds of things properly. Okay. And on the contrary, her sister, no response. So with a sullen attitude, she looks away with a look of complete disinterest on her face. In other words, that has nothing to do with her.
小鳥のとこの寮生なんだけどね。今はソアリング同好会のメンバーでもあるの。
Well, I think at this point it's better to keep the Soaring Club and anything related to it, or the Soaring Circle, quiet from everyone else. So, Asa, let's see, blushes in embarrassment as Ageha introduces her as a member. So the girls call out, she's so cute, when they see these mannerisms. So they certainly are cute.
ねえ、お弁当もう食べた？いえ、まだです。これからヨルちゃんと一緒に食べようと思って。
Okay. So she showed this lunchbox that she had brought with her.
じゃあ、一緒に食べましょうよ。ね、決まり？
So how about we have lunch together then? Kotori forcefully makes the decision on her. So, okay, so you can come in and enjoy lunch with us. That'll be good. So Asa is alright with it, but I'm sure Yoru's like, no thanks, pass.
ヨルちゃんも一緒にどう？
Okay, so Ageha stops Yoru's like, so how about you then?
別に構いませんけど。
Well, I guess so. So Yoru accepted the offer with a reluctant expression. And the group of girls became noisy and excited to see the pretty twins who were just a pair of dolls. Or like a pair of dolls. I can't believe you, Aoi. I can't believe you have these girls with you. So correction, the boys were the same. So everyone's getting kind of jealous that these twins are with Aoi, Kotori, and Ageha. So you mind if you leave first?
何？葵くんも一緒に食べる？
So wait, what's wrong? No, it's okay. Asa came here because she had something to talk about.
そうだった。ごめんなさい。私そそっかしくて。
So let's talk first before we eat.
今日の部活ってあそこでするんですよね。
Okay, so now that I let you have our place, so will you move the activities to that place then? So when she means over there, she means the secret base that she had told us about a few days ago.
そのつもりよ。
Yeah. So the leader answers, Kotori.
じゃあこれ。
Okay, so here you go. So Asa handed Kotori a key.
合鍵作ってもらったから。
Okay, so I made another key for you.
勝手に出入りしちゃっていいの？
It's like, well, if you're the leader, then you should have access to the facility whenever you want. So as expected, even Kotori has her reservations.
はい、構いません。おじいちゃんの許可ももらってます。
Okay, so Grandpa let us copy a key.
ありがとう、
But for yours, like, well, I didn't really agree to all this, and I can't believe this is happening. So after school, we moved the glider to the new base. We took the necessary tools with us and made the preparations that would allow us to start working.
なんだか秘密基地みたいだね。
So it is secret in the sense that the school does not know about this place. So that expression fits it perfectly.
子供の頃に戻ったみたい。なんか燃えるわ。
Okay, so it reminds of Ageha of the past. Said Ageha in a good mood as she got to work. Well, it's true. The place feels a lot like when we used to play the secret base when we were little kids. And this dock, constructed from steel, is just how we pictured a secret base back then. instead of a spaceship or a robot, there's a glider. And this is our secret weapon.
おー、なんかやる気出てきた。
Okay? But unfortunately, the place is dirty, and it's starting to affect Kotori.
全然掃除とかしてなかったので。
Well, I'm sorry, it's dirty. It hasn't been cleaned, so.
こりゃ手こずりそうね。まずはホコリを払って、それから拭き掃除して。
So I guess we'll have to give it a top-down cleanup then. So in this room, the cleaning was already underway. Okay, so at least they're doing something. So there's electricity, and if we cleaned it, we'll be able to stay here overnight. Okay. Well, I might go back to dormitory and get the vacuum cleaner.
そうした方がいいかも。
So Kotori answers as she winces from dust going to her face. But I'm pretty sure Aoi still has to go back to the dormitory because he has to take care of the other girls in there, like Kanako, and I forgot the two other girls, besides Asa and Yoru and Kotori. So what's Yoru doing today then? Let's see. I was under the impression that the Kasato sisters were always together, but today, Yoru's not here.
今日は用事があるとかで。
So what's the something then? So could it be that she's angry? Well, it seems she was against you letting you use this place for us. Kind of. And as Asa's expression darkened, a short tone came from her cell phone. It was a text.
夜ちゃんからだ。
Uh-oh.
お前の大切なものをいただいた。回答 Y より。
Wait. So I think...
画像が添付されてる。なんだろう。
So taking an interest, Kotori and I take a look at her phone.
何これ。なんかしましま模様が。
So what's this thing? I don't know. At first, we couldn't tell what it was a picture of. There was something that looked like a human skin, a triangle of fabric, and something stripy. Wait, this?
これ、私のお気に入りのしましまパンツ。
Wait, so why would Yor do that? So they were the pink stripy panties, but it seems that Yor was wearing them and had lifted up her skirt to take the picture. What the hell? In other words, this was a view of underneath Yor's skirt. And Asa went stiff as a board as she looked at the screen. Oh, there's another text. Ha 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 ha! Does it get to you? If this makes you mad, you should remember not to ignore your little sister. Why the thief?
あの子、天才じゃなくてバカだよね。
So, in Kotori's mind's like, well, she's not the genius that everyone says that she is. As usual, Asa's frozen in the spot. It seems she's in deep shock that her precious underwear had been stolen. Well, what can we say to console her at a time like this? So why is Yor doing this anyways? So totally powerless, all we could do, we pat her on the shoulder. Okay, so still affected by the incident, we managed to finish cleaning in half a day. So it's quite tidy now, isn't it?
そうね。寝袋とかあればここで寝られそう。
Okay. Well, we can't just throw things away, so it's still quite jumbled. But at least it's cleaner than before, so at least everything's organized compared to previously. And still, Asa is still upset.
元気出しなさい、アサ。パンツなら今度私がもっといいのを選んであげるから。
Well, don't worry, because we can always buy better ones.
そうじゃなくて、いや、それもあるけど、葵先輩にパンツ見られたことが悲しいんです。
Okay?
もうお嫁に行けないかも。
Wait, what, really? Well, anyways, that's too much hassle to get involved with, so I pretended not to hear as I put down the photo frame. So this should be okay here then. I put the photo frame on the desk, which stands at about waist height. And I brought this from the dormitory along with the vacuum cleaner.
いいんじゃない？部屋のどこからでも見えるし。
Oh, so the photo with... That was the time when they took last year. I think it was like right before Amane's graduation.
気合入るよね。Amane先輩に見られてるかと思うと。
Okay? Well, we can't let down our past selves or Amane. So these are feelings we had until now. And on that day, one thing ended, but it was also the start of something else. Or something new. Asa seemed a bit down when she came over to take a look at the picture of all of us. And she was the only one not there.
一緒に撮ろうね。
Okay, so I'm sure this time, so you're part of the club, we'll make great achievements, and once again, we'll have another photo and you'll be in it.
記念写真。私たちのグライダーが飛んだら。
There you go.
そうだ。こんな時だけじゃなくてさ、普段から撮っておきましょうよ。
Wait, we can take more photos than just that one photo, but I'm sure it's that one that matters the most.
私たちの活動の記録ってことで。
Well, they can at least create like a journal or blog. Kind of like what the trio did in A Sky Full of Stars with Akito, Hikari, and Saya with the journal. Yeah, so that would sound good. Something we can leave behind for our successors, so they can see what kind of things we did. And it's kind of like what Iska did in the past, and before Iska.
後輩たち？
Hey, so this is a club, isn't it? We'll leave it behind for generations to come.
そっか。そんなこと考えたことなかったわ。
Wait, what? So even though we have a new member? In the same way that we inherited the glider from Amane, I thought we'd leave something behind for the ones who were looking up at the clouds with the same feelings that we had, including Asa. Well, maybe it's still too early to be thinking about this. But it was fun to think about that kind of future. Okay, so I wonder if yours back in the room with Asa.
もう二度と夜ちゃんをないがしろにはいたしません。大切なものを奪われる気持ちが少しは分かったかしら。
Okay.
はい。これに懲りたら妹にもっと優しくするのだ。
Oh, it's just a sibling fight. It's like, okay, so I want you to feel how I'm feeling.
それ以上に男の人にパンツを見られる恥ずかしさを学びました。
And the fact that I always saw my underwear.
え？ 男の人にパンツ？
But then again, it was hard to identify.
一緒に葵先輩がいたから。私が履いてたところ？夜ちゃんが履いてたところ。私のパンツ、葵先輩に見られちゃった。
Uh-oh. Oops. So I didn't really meant it to come out this way. Okay, so it's the next day. So since moving our base of operations to the secret base on Windmill Hill, our club activities were getting more serious. And until now, we've been working underground, and we couldn't achieve anything that stood out that much. So now it was our chance to work hard. So the first thing for us to do was work on the repairs to the damaged aircraft.
ガラスマットが含んだ空気をハケで押し出すようにして樹脂を塗るの。
Okay, so use a brush to push the air out of the glass mat and paint the resin over it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stop here for this episode, and in the next episode, we're going to see how activities resume now that Aoi, Kotori, and Ageha have a proper place to fix the glider and hopefully bring it back to the skies. And I still wonder what the grandfather of the twins feel about the glider, because even though he owns this dock, he's also the president of the Keifu Academy, and among the staff members of the Keifu Academy, I'm sure they're all respecting Tobioka-sensei's wishes to make sure the Soaring Club stays closed. And I'm pretty sure they're still trying to find the glider and to sell it off, because that'll make sure the Soaring Club never comes to life, and in a sense, generate income like what Al McWiggin was going to do in Toy Story 2. And I'm sure Akari is also surprised because I always managed to make something unimaginative happen by connecting with the twins, the granddaughters of the president of the school, and she gave them 4 objectives to meet, and even trying to meet those objectives is quite an astonishing miracle for Akari. It's like, well, I wasn't expecting that they would go ahead with it, but if they are going to meet those objectives and try hard, then I guess I'll have to go along with it, because I want to be fair to all the students. So with all of that, I'll see you in the next episode.